Good morning, everybody, and happy Wednesday, and welcome to another live here with me on Wake Up Wednesdays. I am Asia Nasir, founder of Jessica Cares, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that helps to empower teen girls, help them feel their best selves, and to step out into the world and into spaces and places where they are the best versions of themselves. And so our Wake Up Wednesdays is a conduit to what we do in helping our girls to be able to develop it, just hitting that reset button, every other Wednesday and just giving some, powerful insights, strategies, and tips to help you to be able to step into yourself, step outside your comfort zone and embrace the beautiful person that you were meant to be. So that is what Jessica Cares is all about. We've been around since 2010, which I'm so proud of. And so we are getting ready to get into a very deep conversation today. However, we're not going to make it so deep that it's not digestible, but it's just enough information that we need in order to help our teen girls. If our teen girls are listening, this is specifically for you. And for parents that are listening, this hopefully will help you to be able to have what could be a difficult conversation to make it a little bit easier for you and to ease into this. So maybe y'all can actually watch the video together and then be able to, have a further discussion about it. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later. So what are we going to be talking about? So in honor of October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I would have been remiss, and Jessica Cares would have been remiss to not have a conversation about this. And we actually just this past Saturday had a workshop, a virtual workshop for our teen girls in understanding exactly the topic that we're going to be talking about, which is healthy relationships versus toxic ones, and how that doesn't only apply to intimate relationships, but also, distinguishing healthy versus toxic relationships, even in friendships, because what you practice now and what you accept now or what you do not accept now will be a glimpse of what you will accept in an intimate relationship. And so I want to start with, sometimes we think that domestic violence or, this type of conversation is not for teen girls. This is for something for adults. And that's actually not true. Statistics actually have shown one in three girls will actually experience an abusive relationship. Now, when we say abusive relationship, that does not mean boyfriend, girlfriend. Abusive relationship can be a familial relationship or a friendship as well. So today's topic is not just so much about an intimate relationship, although obviously everything that we discuss here will apply to that, but this can also apply to a friendship, and this can also apply to any type of familial, meaning, family, siblings, cousins, uncles, aunts, even parents. So this is a real, this can dig really deep, and what we accept or what we don't accept in even those type of relationships will be indicative to what we will and will not accept in a intimate relationship with an individual. So I have two things that I want to share, and that's basically what does an unhealthy relationship look like? Because if we don't recognize it for what it is and recognize that it is toxic, we'll continue to be in it thinking that this is just the way relationships are. This is the way, friendships are, and it's not. And then recognizing what a healthy relationship looks like and what it feels like. And I'm going to start off by saying it innately is already in us. We know what feels good and what doesn't. However, we may have been groomed. Some of you girls may have been groomed to thinking unhealthy relationships is normal because that's all you've seen. So I want to be the first person, if I am the first person, to let you know that if that gut feeling in your, in your stomach feels like, while yes, this is all I've seen, it doesn't feel right. This shouldn't be what it looks like or sounds like. You're right. You are right. I'm here to validate that for you, and I'm here to share with you what that looks like. So let's get right into it, okay? All right. So being able to spot a toxic relationship, I want to start there. What it looks like. Let's just get right into the meat and potatoes. What a toxic relationship look like. And a toxic relationship, obviously, aside from physical abuse, that is obvious. Anything, and that's not just from uh male to female, but that could be, a female to male, or a friendship, girls, having friendships with their girlfriends. It is physical abuse, obviously, is toxic. Anyone who feels that they need to express themselves by putting their hands on you, to redirect your thoughts or to align with theirs or to agree with theirs, they have to put their hands on you. Clearly, we know that's a toxic relationship. But the ones that I want to focus on right now are the ones that are unseen. You don't see them visually, but it causes so much damage mentally, emotionally, right? These are the things that will scar us for life, especially because it goes unheard as well. You don't see it and people don't talk about it. So this is something that we need to discuss. We need to acknowledge what that looks like. So control is one, and we're going to dig deeper into that. Control, manipulation, and what's called gaslighting. Now, you may have been gaslit and don't even know it because you don't know what it sounds like. So you may be in a situation or in a friendship right now that someone's gaslighting you, and we need to discuss that. So those are three things that are unseen that can create damage, severe damage mentally and emotionally, and it does fall under the category of abuse. So control looks like this person wants to control who you hang out with, who your friends are, who you speak with on a regular basis, wanting to go through your phone, wanting to see who you're speaking to at all times, constantly checking on you, where you at, what you doing, that kind of stuff, isolating you. And even jealousy disguised as care. I only do this because I care about you. That is control. That is control. When someone wants to control who you can associate with, who you can talk to on a regular basis, that's not love. That's not a healthy friendship. That's not a healthy relationship. Control plays no role in a healthy relationship because there's not a need for that. There is a trust that is in a healthy relationship. So if I'm in a friendship or in an intimate relationship, there is no need for me to control you because I trust you enough, and I trust your character, and I trust what I bring to the friendship or the relationship, that I would hope that you wouldn't do anything. And at the end of the day, we can only control ourselves. We can't control another human being. So if someone wants to control who you're speaking to every day, even when it comes to your own family, wanting to isolate you, questioning your friendships, when these are healthy friendships that you've had for years, and now you're friends with this person or you're in an intimate relationship with this person, and now this person is questioning and wanting you not to hang out with these people, not to speak to these people, constantly manipulating your time, monopolizing your time, constantly on the phone with you where you can't talk to anyone else, controlling your time. This is someone, and this is something that is very toxic in a relationship. Someone should not monopolize your time. Someone should not want to isolate you. And someone definitely should not feel the need to be checking on your phones. Who's calling you? Who's texting you? Who's following you on your social media pages? Who's liking your comments or commenting on your page? And asking you and interrogating you basically on who this is. That is not a healthy relationship. That is control. And control plays no part in a healthy relationship. The second, as I mentioned, is manipulation. Manipulation sounds very similar to if you really loved me, you would. If you really, and here's for those friendships, if you were really my friend, then you would this. So a lot of times what manipulation look like is blackmail, ultimatums, things like that. That's manipulation. Making someone in a form of control, guilt tripping someone, making someone feel like in order to keep this friendship or in order to keep this personal relationship that they have with you, they have to stop doing something that they love to do or enjoy doing in order to maintain this friendship. That is manipulation. So if you hear someone say, well, if you really was my friend, then you would stop talking to this person, or you would stop hanging with this person, or whatever the ultimatum, or it's them or me. That kind of stuff is manipulation. That is manipulation. punishing someone because they don't agree with you, or you express how you feel to this person, and this person doesn't like the fact that you stood up for yourself or disagree, had the audacity to disagree with them, then they punish you. You know, oh, well, I'm not going to speak to you for days. That is a form of manipulation, because you are manipulating someone into being their authentic self in order to keep this friendship or this relationship. That is toxic. That is nothing healthy about that. Okay. And third is gaslighting. Whew. We could do a whole Wake Up Wednesday on gaslighting. But gaslighting is probably one of the most dangerous forms of toxicity in a relationship, girls. The reason why is because this distorts your reality. What you know to be true, what you see with your own eyes, what you hear with your own ears, this person tries to distort that reality. So they'll say things like, that never happened, when you know it most absolutely did happen. They'll say things like, that never happened. And you're like, are you kidding me? I saw you. I heard you. They're like, that never happened. You never heard that. They want you to start like actually doubting, like, did I hear that? Did I see that? Was that you? You know, things like that. Or they'll say things like, if you express something that they said upset you, or you felt hurt in some way by it, are you too sensitive? You're too sensitive. I don't know anyone else like you. You're the only one that finds fault. That's gaslighting someone. You're not too sensitive. You're not the only one. That's what they want you to believe. So that way they don't have to stop their toxic behavior. You just stop asking for them to respect you. That is what the ultimate goal is. That is gaslighting, distorting your reality, making you feel like, what, am I too sensitive? You know, do I take things too serious? You don't know how to take a joke. If the butt of your jokes is always at my expense, then that's not me being too sensitive, and that's not me, me not knowing how to take a joke. It is that this is toxic. Someone's humor should never be at the expense of someone else's feelings, especially if they call you a friend or someone that they claim that they care for, right? You should not always be the butt of the joke. So when someone says you're too sensitive because you're expressing that, or you take things too personal, that's gaslighting. It's making you distort your reality. You know this doesn't make you feel good. You know this does not make you feel good. This doesn't feel, right in your soul. Someone should not try to distort that and make you feel like that's all in your head, or you're imagining things. I saw you, and they want you to know you're imagining things. You're thinking about somebody else, or, making you actually question, well, was it that person? Was it, maybe they just look like that. They start to distort your reality. That is probably the worst form of toxicity, worst form of emotional and mental abuse. So see, this person hasn't laid a hand on you. Nothing that I've said, whether it's control, manipulation, or gaslighting, none of it has anything to do with physical abuse. However, it is abusive, and I tell you, the abuse that is unseen is the worst, because while yes, physical abuse is horrific, it's awful, should never be tolerated, the bruises that it leaves eventually will leave, right? Those bruises will heal in and of itself. But the mental and emotional abuse from that physical altercation, the mental abuse that I just mentioned, the emotional abuse that I mentioned, while that incident may have passed, the scars that it leaves sometimes can be, depending on how long you stay in those type of unhealthy relationships, can last a lifetime. So it's very, very important that you remove yourself from those type of friendships. Acknowledge what they are and say, this is not a friend. Or acknowledge that if this is someone that you care about on a personal level, that this is not healthy for me. This is not something that I need in my life. And the one way in which you do that is what we're going to be talking about next, and that is holding and setting boundaries, holding to your standards and setting boundaries. Boundaries is not, when you hear the word boundary, it sounds as if though you're putting up a wall, right? Like you're keeping people at bay. That's not what a boundary is. A boundary allows you, when you set healthy boundaries for yourself, what it does is it does put up a wall for people that don't need to be in your life. Because the people that do belong in your life respect boundaries. People who are toxic don't. So when you set standards for yourself and you set healthy boundaries for yourself, people who are toxic they'll bark at it, they'll be upset about it, they'll try to defy it, they'll try to test you, they'll try to push, but they're not going to respect. People who you should have in your life, friendships, people who really value friendship, value you as an individual, they will respect those boundaries. So healthy boundaries are like if someone cracks jokes about you or mention things that you have shared in confidence in front of people, and you say, hey, I don't like when you do that. That is not okay. When you speak to me in a certain tone, or when, like girls nowadays, you girls, I don't know, you girls, I hear it because I work with girls. I don't know when this trend started, but the girls calling each other the B word as a term of endearment. I didn't grow up in those times. Those was fighting words when I grew up. Somebody called you the B word, that was that was a problem. And it became an issue when boys started to call girls the B word as a form of, endearment. And that was an issue. And now we see girls calling each other that. Set healthy boundaries. I'm not a female dog, right? I'm not a female dog. My name is so-and-so. I do not like when you call me that. Do not call me that. Set those type of boundaries for yourself. You know, um, don't isolate me. If someone gives you an ultimatum, then respectfully say, you're entitled to how you feel, but I am also, and I'm not changing. I'm not isolating myself. No, you cannot see my phone. No, you cannot go through my phone. Those are healthy boundaries because that is your right to do so as an individual. Hold to those boundaries. When we talk about respect, calling you out your name should be a boundary. We're not doing that. Raising your voice at me and talking down to me, trying to humiliate me in front of people, those are boundaries that you should set for yourself, that you're like, this is unacceptable. Don't make someone feel like you are, that your boundaries is making you a person who you can't have a relationship with, or you're asking for too much, or you think you're all of that. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I do think that. And that's not in a conceited way. I think that I am worth respect, absolutely. And if that feels like that's too much for you, then maybe it is. And you can be over there and I'll be over here. You have to set those boundaries because at the end of the day, girls, you teach people how to treat you. If you allow something, silence is complicity, is being complicit. I don't have to tell a person to stop, but the fact that I'm not saying anything at all is letting that person know that this toxic treatment is okay with me. You speaking up for yourself is telling this person, no, it is not okay. And more importantly, I'm not going to tolerate it. You have to be willing to let go of what is not meant for you. If this friendship is not healthy, you don't need it. If this person claims that they care for you and they love you and they're talking to you in a way that's disrespectful, they're wanting to isolate you, they're manipulating you, they're gaslighting you, that is not love. And no matter how much they want to tell you, I only do this because I love you. No, you only do this because you have a problem. Let's call a thing a thing. You do this because you have a problem. So I want you to understand it in short term, because, for time's sake, those are some power punches of things to look for. And if you're experiencing them in your friendships or someone that you call this, special person in your life, if they're doing this to you, you got to make a decision to love yourself, to be able to remove yourself from that situation. This is what healthy should feel and what it should sound like. Healthy should sound like Trust. I trust you. I don't need to go through your phone. I can leave my phone right here while I walk away, and you're not going to feel the need to walk through it. I trust you, and I respect your privacy, right? Trusting that person. Um, being honest with that person. Don't gaslight that person. Don't make a person, if you know that you've done something wrong, then be honest enough to say to that person, you know what, I didn't realize that that was hurting you, and I can see how that's being disrespectful. I apologize, and I do have a problem with doing that. I need to change that. I need to work on that. Be honest, in your relationship. And you should feel free to be honest with that person or that friend, to tell them, hey, this doesn't make me feel good. I don't like how this makes me feel. Being honest, that's what and then when you're honest, having that person validate your feelings, having that person validate you, like, oh, I didn't know that it made you feel that way, and I heard you, and I'll stop. That won't happen again. That's validating. Oh, I didn't know that when I did this in front of your friend, it made you feel uncomfortable. Like anything like that, that's validation. That's what a healthy relationship. Even if a person doesn't agree, well, I don't necessarily feel the same way, but I respect how you feel. I respect how you feel, and now I won't do that anymore. That's validating someone's feeling. Having open communication. If you feel you can't come to a friend and tell a friend how you really feel, that's a problem. If you're in a relationship with someone who claims that they love you, and you don't feel that you can talk to this person about how you feel because that person makes you feel silly, that person doesn't validate your feelings, that's not a person that you should be with, right? You should be able to have open communication, and having the hard conversations. Communication shouldn't always be, this is wonderful and we're talking about what we both agree on. A healthy relationship, we can even discuss what we don't necessarily agree on, but we can agree to respect one another, right? And that person should allow you to be your authentic self. You should not have to be in a friendship that when you're hanging around this person, you have to change who you are. You have to act a certain way. You have to, talk a certain way. No, you should be able to be yourself with this person, away from this person. You should be who you are at all times. And that person should embrace you for who you are. While, yes, we all have things that we need to work on, and things like that. We all have flaws. At the end of the day, what made you want to be my friend? What made you want to, have me as the special person in your life? That should be something that is embraced, and not something that someone is trying to change. If you care for someone, you care for that person for who they are. That whatever the flaws are, the good that they have in them outweighs the things that you don't like about them. So that person should embrace you for who you are. If you feel you have to change your authentic self, who you really are on the inside, in order to be in a friendship or to be in this special relationship, then that's not it. You're just placating to what someone else wants, and that entire relationship, you are going to have to deny, you're going to have to abandon who you are in order to stay in this friendship and in order to stay in this relationship. And that in and of itself is toxic. So that is what I wanted to share with you girls today. I want you to really think about your friendships, examine your friendships, who you're in friendships with. Do they make you feel like you can be yourself? Can you have open communication? Does this person share some of these toxic things that, Miss Asia is sharing today? If they are, you need to examine, next steps in this situation. And for parents, this should not just be the all and be all conversation, like, hey, we listened to it, I hope you took it in, I hope you listen, and I hope you no. Prevention doesn't start at a crisis, when they're already in a toxic situation. Prevention is being proactive and having the conversation now. So this should be, like the intro, but you should be taking it deeper. So listen to this video today, and then have that conversation, and really listen to your daughter, listen to what they have to say, ask them if they've been in a toxic relationship, or if they're in one right now. So that way you can help them navigate getting out of it in a healthy way, in a safe way, and teaching them, what a healthy relationship should sound and what it should feel like at the end of the day. And more importantly, for our teen girls, they model what they see, not so much what they hear. So if you are tolerating unhealthy friendships, if you are in toxic relationships or marriages, that is what they're going to emulate, because that is what they see. That is what they're being taught. So if you want your daughters to be in healthy friendships and healthy relationships, you have to set the example. You have to set the bar. You have to be the way shower. You have to lead by example. So, that's very, very important. So parents, moms, you may have to look at your relationships and assess, and maybe do this together, with your daughters, and make it a point that we are going to move forward in healthy, respectful relationships, whether they're friendships or in personal relationships, that is the way that we're going. And we're going to do this together. We're going to support each other. And I tell you, the results are going to be, so wonderful. So wonderful. So I hope that, I pray that for y'all, and I hope that you take this conversation further, in discussion amongst the two of you, so that way, you can move in that vein. So that is what I wanted to share with you in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Stay tuned. Stay tuned, because in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about some great topics, again, specific to our teen girls, and helping them be able to be the best versions of themselves, and for them to be able to move forward in a healthy way, one positive thought at a time. So thank you for tuning in to our Wake Up Wednesday. If you know of anyone who you think that this would benefit and should hear this information, please tag them, in this live. Please share this live with them. If you're on our YouTube, please go to our YouTube channel, which is on YouTube under Jessica Cares 1, just like our Instagram page. Go to our Jessica Cares page. You can always listen to our replays, and past replays that we've had. If you're on LinkedIn, share this with someone, like it as well. Drop a comment or a suggestion or a tip of what a healthy relationship look like, so we can keep this conversation going long after I tune out. So again, thank you so much for tuning into our Wake Up Wednesday. We're here every other Wednesday. So in a couple of weeks, stay tuned, because we're going to have another great discussion, and invite people and let them know that we're here to grow our community of being healthy, whole, and empowered. So again, that's what I wanted to share with you. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be intentional, be empowered, and share that empowerment, because that's what empowerment is sharing. So sharing is caring. Share this great information, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks, God willing.